Imagine walking into a Rolex store with $50,000 cash, ready to celebrate the biggest win of your life. 30 minutes later, you're walking out empty-handed, told you need to prove yourself worthy first. Meanwhile, there's a watch sitting in another store down the street that's better built, costs half the price, and you can buy it right now. Here's the truth nobody talks about. Rolex has convinced the world that waiting years and paying double is somehow luxurious. It's not. It's manipulation. And today, I'm showing you 5 watches that crush Rolex without the games, without the waitlists, and without kissing anyone's feet. His startup just sold for $200 million, and he wants to mark this life-changing moment with the Submariner he's dreamed about since college. He approaches the pristine display case where a single sub sits behind bulletproof glass like a museum artifact. The sales associate, clipboard in hand, barely looks up. Interested in the Submariner? We'll need you to establish a purchase history first. Perhaps something for your wife? A nice date just. Then maybe in 2 to 3 years we can discuss availability. 30 minutes later, this man who just changed his family's future for generations walks out empty-handed, dignity bruised, wondering how success became synonymous with begging for permission to spend his own money. The secret is simple. Rolex waitlists aren't about making better watches. They're about making you want them more. The longer you wait, the less you think clearly. Every month that passes, you convince yourself it's worth it. But what if I told you there are watches that beat Rolex at their own game? Hit subscribe right now because I'm about to expose the alternatives that luxury insiders don't want you to know about. Alternative number 1. Tudor Black Bay 58, the Rolex killer with royal blood. At 39 millimeters, it achieves proportional perfection that the bloated 41 millimeter sub often cannot match. Where Rolex has supersized their icon for modern wrists, Tudor remembered that elegance comes from restraint, not excess. James, a cardiac surgeon from Boston, traded his 2-year waitlisted Submariner for the Black Bay 58 and hasn't looked back. The Submariner felt like wearing a billboard about my bank account, he tells me. The Tudor feels like wearing a tool that happens to be beautiful. During 12-hour surgeries, I never think about impressing anyone. I think about precision, reliability, and functionality. The Black Bay delivers all 3 while sitting perfectly under surgical gloves. This sentiment echoes throughout Tudor's growing community of converts who discovered that authenticity often trumps artificial prestige. Technically, the Black Bay 58 doesn't just compete with the Submariner, it surpasses it in key areas. The MT-5402 movement delivers 70 hours of power reserve compared to the sub's standard configuration, while maintaining chronometer certification that ensures accuracy within strict parameters. The case finishing rivals anything in Rolex's current catalog, with beautifully executed brushed surfaces and polished chamfers that demonstrate genuine attention to detail, rather than cost-cutting disguised as design philosophy. Most importantly, you can walk into any Tudor dealer today and experience the revolutionary concept of buying a watch when you actually want it, for its retail price of $4,200 instead of the Submariner's $15,000 gray market reality. If you're interested in Tudor alternatives, I'll drop links to authorized dealers in the description below where you can actually try these on without the Rolex theater. Alternative number 2. Grand Seiko SBGH289, Japanese perfection that humbles Swiss pride. But if you want to see Swiss precision elevated to an art form that makes Rolex look almost crude by comparison, consider the Japanese philosophy of perfection embodied in the Grand Seiko SBGH289. At $8,500, this timepiece delivers Zaratsu polishing so perfect that each surface transition looks like liquid mercury frozen in steel. Where Rolex applies decent finishing techniques, Grand Seiko approaches case polishing like sculpture, creating reflections and light play that transform timekeeping into visual poetry. Here's something I'm curious about. Have you ever held a Grand Seiko in person? If yes, drop amazing in the comments. If no, drop need to, because trust me, pictures don't do justice to this level of finishing. The technical superiority runs deeper than aesthetics. The 9S85 high beat movement operates at 36,000 vibrations per hour, creating a sweep second hand that moves with liquid smoothness while potentially offering greater precision than standard Swiss movements. This isn't marketing speak about imperceptible differences. This is mechanically observable superiority that changes how you experience time itself. Sarah, a museum curator who owns both a Submariner and the Grand Seiko, explains the difference. The Rolex tells perfect time and looks impressive. The Grand Seiko makes me stop and appreciate the mechanical poetry happening on my wrist. It's the difference between functional beauty and transcendent craftsmanship. The psychological liberation here extends beyond mere availability. When you choose Grand Seiko, you're selecting based on horological merit rather than social signaling. The blue dial creates depth that seems to contain entire oceans, shifting from navy to azure, depending on lighting conditions in ways the Submariner's flat black cannot match. This is quiet confidence personified, the choice of someone who understands that true luxury whispers rather than shouts. Here's where the story gets interesting. These aren't just random alternatives I'm suggesting to help you cope with Rolex rejection. These are timepieces that force a fundamental question. How much of luxury's value exists in the object itself versus the theater surrounding its acquisition? Both the Tudor and Grand Seiko offer superior wearing experiences, better availability, and in many technical aspects, superior watchmaking. Yet, they lack the crown's psychological grip on desire. Alternative number 3. Omega Speedmaster Professional, the moon's choice over marketing. Here's something Rolex's marketing team would prefer you never learned. When NASA needed a watch for the most extreme environment humans had ever faced, they didn't choose based on waiting lists or dealer relationships. They chose based on brutal testing that destroyed lesser timepieces and revealed which watch could actually perform when lives depended on it. That watch wasn't a Rolex. It was the Omega Speedmaster Professional. The Speedmaster earned its place on astronauts' wrists through performance, not prestige. While other brands were busy with advertising campaigns, Omega was busy creating a timepiece that could survive the vacuum of space, extreme temperature variations, and the physical demands of lunar exploration. The manual wind movement that powered Neil Armstrong's steps on the moon is essentially the same movement you can buy today for around $6,000. No wait list, no dealer games. Just walk in and own a piece of genuine human achievement. Michael, a pilot and vintage watch collector, explains the difference. My Daytona gets compliments about how hard it was to get. My Speedmaster starts conversations about space exploration and human courage. One represents artificial scarcity, the other represents humanity's greatest adventure. The Hesalite crystal that Rolex collectors often criticize for being scratchable tells stories through its acquired character in ways that scratch-resistant sapphire never could. Every mark represents a moment lived. Every reflection catches light with the same optical properties that illuminated astronauts' faces in the lunar module. Alternative number 4. Zenith Chronomaster Sport, the movement Rolex used to borrow. Now here's where the story gets beautifully ironic. The Zenith Chronomaster Sport at around $10,000 features the El Primero movement, the same caliber that Rolex used in their Daytona for years before developing their own in-house movement. You're not just buying a Rolex alternative. You're buying a piece of Rolex history without the Rolex gatekeeping. The El Primero operates at 36,000 vibrations per hour, creating that incredibly smooth sweep of the chronograph's seconds hand while measuring elapsed time to 1/10 of a second. That's more precise than the Daytona's measurement capabilities. The tricolor subdials create a distinctive character that the Daytona's monochromatic approach simply cannot match. Most importantly, the display caseback reveals the beautiful movement architecture, something Rolex hides behind solid steel because they believe mystery adds value. Think about this. Would you rather see the beautiful movement or stare at a blank steel back? Alternative number 5. Cartier Santos, the pioneer that started it all before Rolex ever made their first sports watch. Alberto Santos Dumont was already wearing the world's first purpose-built pilot's timepiece on his wrist. The Cartier Santos, created in 1904, represents the birth of the modern wristwatch and aviation timing. This isn't following trends. This is setting them over a century ago. Today's Santos carries that pioneering spirit with modern refinements. The quick-change bracelet and strap system lets you transform the watch's character in seconds, something no Rolex offers. The Roman numerals and blue sword hands create an elegance that transcends fashion trends, At around $7,000, it's accessible luxury that signals true connoisseurship rather than mainstream recognition. The psychological freedom of choosing the Santos extends beyond its availability. When you wear it, you're connected to aviation's birth, to Art Deco elegance, to a time when innovation mattered more than marketing budgets. It's the choice of someone who appreciates horological history over manufactured hype. Here's what the luxury watch industry hopes you never realize. Once you've waited years for a Rolex and paid inflated prices, cognitive dissonance kicks in. Your brain convinces you it was worth every moment of humiliation and every extra dollar spent. That's not passion for watches. That's justifying a poor decision. The 5 alternatives we've explored today represent liberation from this cycle. Tudor gives you Rolex quality without Rolex arrogance. Grand Seiko delivers finishing that makes Swiss watches look crude. The Speedmaster connects you to actual human achievement rather than artificial exclusivity. Zenith offers the movement Rolex used to depend on. Cartier provides pioneering heritage that predates Rolex's entire sports watch legacy. True luxury isn't about what you can't have. It's about appreciating exceptional craftsmanship, choosing based on merit rather than marketing, and wearing timepieces that enhance your life rather than complicate it. The best watch isn't the one everyone else wants. It's the one that makes you smile every time you check the time, even when nobody else is looking. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening in luxury watches, subscribe for more insights that cut through the marketing noise. And drop a comment with one word describing how you feel about Rolex waitlists now. Next week, I'm revealing the insider tactics dealers use to decide who actually gets the hot models and why the system is more rigged than you think. Remember, the moment you stop chasing artificial scarcity and start choosing based on genuine appreciation, you become a true collector rather than just another customer in the manipulation game.